The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. And the second best time to plant a tree is right now. When we've been gathering together these last few weeks, we've looked at spirituality not replacing common sense, why people don't heal, what you're seeking is seeking you. And today we're talking about the big C word called commitment. Everybody breathe. Commitment. I was very moved by this on my journey of the weekend, working on my own visioning process. Commitment. Until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. Concerning all acts of initiative and creation, there is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans, that the moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. All sorts of things occur to help one that would otherwise never have occurred. A whole stream of events issues from the decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents and meetings and material assistance, which no man could have dreamt would have come his way. Whatever you can do or dream, or you can begin it, boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. I know you've probably heard that before, but like all things we've heard before, they mean something different as we shift and change, yes? So on a funny note, talking about commitment, a man is having many issues and he goes to Dr. Jim. And Dr. Jim looks at the man after reviewing his case and he said, I'd love to talk to your wife. And so he talks to the wife and he tells her, your husband has many deficiencies and it's not good. And the good news is that with a commitment on your part to his nutrition, he would be fine. And she goes, well, what does that look like? And Dr. Jim said, well, you gotta give him a hearty breakfast every morning, pancakes, sausage, and eggs. Come lunch, a full meal, and dinner, you know what a lot of guys like, and women, potatoes and meat and big old meal. And this has to happen every day. And, you know, he's also susceptible, so you have to keep the house really, really clean. But otherwise, it's achievable, right? And he said, well, you want me to tell him his condition, or are you going to do it? And she said, I'll handle it. So her husband comes up to her, and after the appointment says, well, what did Dr. Jim say? It's not too good, is it? And she said, he says you're going to die. Well, obviously, for all apparent reasons, we believe in life here at Unity. But it's those kind of funny things that have an awakening within us sometimes. When we see the level, sometimes we would be willing to go to and deny ourselves of many dreams that are possible to us. I don't know about you, but when I'm a ficus bush and I'm growing real fast, that's a ton of fun. And I have all this energy towards this. But when I'm a bamboo, when are you coming up? When you're going to happen? What's going to happen? Then questions start coming in. Yes, does that ever happen to you? So I was looking at a documentary about Steve Harvey, and he was telling the story of back in the day before he made it, how he would go and find a lake somewhere and catch fish. And he'd catch the fish and he'd find a place, being a homeless man, he'd find a place that he would start cooking the fish. He said many a time a police officer or somebody would come along and say, you're not welcome here, you cannot belong here. And he said the biggest I could dream back then was to have a piece of land where I could catch fish and nobody could tell me that I would have to leave it. And he said through the first little TV opportunity that came, he put together $115,000. And he saw a piece of land that was 6 acres, and it had a lake, and he went, this is it. And the guy says, it's going to cost you twice that much money. And Steve said, I don't have it. This is all I have. And the realtor, overhearing this, said, let's go down the road. It was 16 acres. 16 acres. And the guy said, tell me what you have. And he said, 115,000. And he said, then this is your land. He went on to own 300 acres there in the Denton, Texas area. And he said, but you know, like we say, and you'll recognize this, I learned first of all to ask. I learned second to know I would receive it. And I learned that in whence it would come was not my business. We say what? And we allowed the universe to say what? How? Right? We say what? We allow the universe to say how. And where we get caught up is we get into the wow. We start telling something greater than ourselves how we would do it. When we haven't done it so far, what makes us think we're going to do it now? Are you with me? So if I'm calling in something, a big dream, a big idea, something larger than the average of settling, then I need to go to something higher than the consciousness that I've been working from at this point, right? And I need to surround myself. I am several people, thank you, I admit that. I'm glad we cleared that. I need to go to people that have achieved in whatever way the things I'm longing to, because then they can impact me by their consciousness. Unity 101. Are we on the same page thus far? I was talking with one of my new friends, Valerie Gerard, a chiropractor here in the city, and we were talking about how people need to address the shadow of failure. The shadow of failure. We all can carry a shadow of failure in whatever way it's related. Whether it's how we raise our kids. I remember when this little girl decided I was her Mama Temple, and at the time she was like 3 or 4 years old. I'm like, I don't know how to do this. I have no clue how to do this, and I want to do it well. You know, and I got all into that shadow of what if, and if so, and what would it look like? Until I go into the mirror and go, hello, do you remember this is a divine idea? And you will know how, when you get to that place, you will know what is necessary for you to do. The shadow of failure requires all of us to dig a little deeper than perhaps we ever have before. Are you with me? Does this relate with you? Because they're giving me just a few more minutes, okay? It's very, very important that we don't gloss over it, because it's part that can hover over us. It can be age related, it can be people related, it can be goal related. I'll give you an example. We experienced it here. When we came on board, Reverend Kathy and I, over a year ago, with our shining resumes, and we came into this organization who wasn't doing so well. Can we admit that? Wasn't doing well at all. And things were kind of spiraling, not in a great direction. And we came in and weren't offered a really great package to send in front of you. Right? It's okay. I believe in healthy talking. So, you know, it's okay. And we agreed to that. We agreed to that. And we made a commitment to you. And some of you made a commitment to us. And we started really like, wow, can you believe it? And everything. And oh my gosh. And look at what's happening. And oh, it's so great. And then the shadow of failure came. And then people would say, well, you know, ministers, they don't really last here. Oh, well, what are we going to do? And, well, we better be careful. And we better hold our excitement, because, you know, the last time we got really excited, right? And we went through this window until we addressed the shadow of failure. Do you relate? Oh, yeah, and what if we run out again? And what if people stop coming again? And what if we don't have enough money again? And what? But what if we never look back? What if we go, I am so all in. This is one of the greatest experiences of my life. And I'm going to do my part in making sure it shines. Because you see, thank you. Will you give her 20 after? Thank you. But I call forth that in you. I call it forth in unity. You know, Rob said to me, well, how is the bigger unity doing? Or how are other unities doing? It's like, we want to be able to show other unities how to do it, not how not to do it. Amen. Right? Yes. To show ourselves what we are capable of. Within this room, we have people healed of cancer. We have people healed of cancer more than one time. We have people that look 60 and they're 105. We have people that are successfully raising their grandchildren. We have people that are financially successful. We have people that know how to have relationship and to love deeply. We have people that have been all over the world and done all kind of things. And you don't think we can fill 2 services here? If that's what you want? Hello? Possibilities. But see, here's the thing that we need to know. And here's the thing I always say to communities that say we want to grow, is that once you start, there's no going back. That is the law of life. If you tell yourself, I want to be healthier, Dr. Jim said, I need to do this. I'm going to drink my water. I'm going to give up sugar. I'm going to drink green juice and celery juice. And I'm going to walk every day, and I'm going to do all that, and I'm going to give up carbs. I wish they hadn't said, give us this day our daily bread. That's tough. You know what I'm saying? I mean, what were they thinking? They didn't know what carbs were back then. That's probably a safe bet, right? If you do those kind of things, then it's not, you don't get to go back because you feel so much worse than you ever did. Is that true? Is that true for some of you? And sometimes it's like, oh, when I was so innocent and I didn't know better, it was okay to have all that sugar. Not okay for others that were around me, I might add. But once you get on a track of betterment, the law is encouraging you to move forward. I had so much fun in this past weekend because it was a retreat for you to get in touch with your dreams and your big goals. I mean, without any limitation. And I don't know how many times I thought in my heart how grateful I am to all of you, because I have lived in the Unity Dome. You understand what I'm saying? And when we share things with each other, we get it. Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Oh, yeah, go for it. So I was with a group of people I'd never met in my life, and it came time to talk about my vision. And they're like focusing on, not that it's wrong, I'm not saying that, but they were saying, oh, well, we're looking forward to making plans when we retire, you know? And then I share, and they share their things, and comes my time, and I go, I'm living to be 150, and I want access to my own airplane to be a first responder. And I want to sell 15 million copies of my book. And they're like, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But here's the thing. What I duly noted, because of people like you, I did not tone down. I did not go, well, I see we're kind of at this level. What I'm going to share is way too much. I did that most of my life. How about you? So I dealt with the shadow of fear. That shadow of fear that can keep us from fully expressing who we are, not fitting in an aquarium. And it was so cool. That was, of all things, that was one of my biggest takeaways, is that I really shared what was on my heart. And I wasn't concerned that it didn't fit in with everybody else's idea. Do you ever do that? Yep. Hallelujah. Yep. You fit into what you feel or what you perceive is okay with the people that you're with. No, we're here to make a mighty noise. Yep. And it literally wasn't about them. And it never is about them. We make them about us, but it's not. It's about where we are in our consciousness. I love the story of this guy that goes up to this man. They had become friends. He was much younger than the older man. And he said, how is it for you? He said, how do you feel really about the fact that you have lived most of your years and you don't have many years left, according to what we know now? And the guy said, son, the voice I hear that I've always heard is the same age it's always been. I still hear the same voice of being my mom's son, of growing up in high school. That is the voice I hear. And that is the voice that guides me. And regardless of how my body shifts or changes, or regardless of the number of my years, I'm still the same. And I have always been the same age. I thought that's so powerful, isn't it? Let's just breathe that in, because we are eternal. The voice that we hear is the voice of our soul, and it is ageless. And it never has any of that occurs or that goes on, for sure. There was a little boy that was asked the question, son, what is your favorite book? And he said, my parents' checkbook. We know that. One of my best friends, her daughter had her dad's phone put the name in, it's the bank calling. And it had a certain ringtone to it. But he said, yeah, it's a checkbook. And when we look at a simple checking account, it's the fact that we take out withdrawals because we put deposits in. And so our lives is contingent upon what kind of deposits we put in. If we want long-term relationships, we put deposits in of friendship and caring and well-being. If we want longevity, we put deposits in of a healthy physical body, yes? That when we do live to be 150 or more, or within our lifetime, they may come up with a pill that we can choose to be here for a long, long time. See you on those Sundays to come, yes? So whatever it is, we put those deposits in so that we can withdraw. What I think is so important is that we're always working with our language. Our language. I don't know about you, but I grew up in I'm still growing up, Clarity, but I grew up in a very small town, and I grew up with a lot of judgmental people. Is that safe to say? And, so like if they saw somebody driving a really nice car, sometimes they would say, well, I know some of them are on food stamps. Right? What programming to hear as a child? That if you have wonderful, beautiful things, then you may have gone about it the wrong way. Does anybody have any kind of languaging when it comes to success like that? Yeah, we don't have enough time for me to tell you all of the ones, but through the years I've caught myself. And I heard somebody the other day say something about one of the celebrities at the courthouse at Santa Barbara, that he had needed to give $63,000 of child support a month for 2 small children. And this person was going, what in the world would it take for $63,000? So we had this whole conversation about a redirect. What are you going to do when you have an extra $63,000 a month? You see the difference? One has breath and one doesn't. Because what we know for sure, the things we criticize, we will not have in our lives. Should I say that again? The things we criticize, we will not have in our lives. So that's one small example, but it's the shadow of lack mentality. There won't be enough. There never has been enough. And here's the thing. There's wealthy people that say that. There's people that don't have that say that. It doesn't matter what someone has to know what they have. And so in consciousness, we're always working towards the fact that there is always enough with the power of asking and manifestation. Are we on the same page about that? Okay, so I will close by a cute little story. There were 3 ministers, and they were talking about how they were having problems with the bats in the ceiling, and they were annoying them. And one minister said, "We've done everything we can do to get rid of them, and it just won't work." And the other guy said, "Well, me too. We've all gotten together, and the volunteers dealing with those bats, and we just can't get rid of them." And so the third minister said, "Well, I got all the bats together, and I baptized them, and I made them a member of the church, and we haven't seen them since." God bless you, everyone. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here.